This has been a heavy year, and I know that in my family, we've all thought just a little bit deeper about each other and about preparing ahead. And that's where the topic of estate planning comes up. Never before has it been so important to think about your loved ones and to plan ahead. And the Borg Law Group makes it very easy.
Absolutely. Brooke Borg, she's joining us now. She's the attorney and owner with Borg Law Group, joining us now from home. How are you there, Brooke?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
It's
excited to be on the show.
Well, it's great to have you on the
Good.
show. Let's talk about estate planning. Sometimes I think people hear the word estate and they think, oh, well, my estate, my 5 yachts. It's really, that's not the case at all. We all have an estate. We all have stuff that, heaven forbid, we go, needs to be divvied up in whatever way that you want it to be done. And if you don't have a plan in place, it can get pretty messy. That's where estate planning can come in, can it?
Yes, absolutely. And we see it all the time in our practice. People think that their families are not going to argue after they pass away, or they say, my kids get along great. And I tell them I have to play worst case scenario artist because they don't get along great. And I say, we've seen it over and over. So I say, let's plan for the case that they fight. And if they don't, well, then great. We have it in writing. But we see it over and over again. So
Yeah.
people really need to plan.
Mhm.
Isn't that the truth? Even in a family that's always been, very peaceful and gotten along well, somehow I think emotions are very high, and you start to feel that certain siblings think that they deserve more assets than others, and to cause a rift in a family over belongings is just. It's so unfortunate. So you're well aware of this fact, and you can really lead people through the process. Um, I don't know, is it ever too late to work on an estate plan?
No, it's honestly never too early or never too late. Anyone over 18, even though they may not have assets, they're an adult in the eyes of the law. So they may have to have things in place if they're going away to college, like medical or financial powers of attorney, so their parents can make legal and medical decisions for them if something happens. And then as far as it being too late, it's never too late. I mean, if you lack capacity to make decisions, sure. But as long as you have your wits about you and you know what you want, and it's good to do estate planning because, like you said, you don't want your families to fight. And we lead people through the process, and our main goal is to educate our clients. So, we say, do you have a person in your family who maybe has a drug or alcohol issue that we need to plan around? Or
Yeah.
is it a blended family? Do we have his kids, her kids, our kids? That can get a little messy. So we plan with that as well.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. There's no question about that. I guess the question, who needs estate planning, is anyone that plans on dying one day. I mean,
Sure, right?
like that'd be
That,
all of us.
that's taxes. That's right.
This year though, especially, I think it has everyone at the top of mind. It's like heaven, like wow, life is kind of fragile right now, especially having a plan in place is super important. And I've seen in my family as well, where not necessarily the fighty type, but man, somebody passes away and it can get really, really ugly. That's what happens if there's no will or trust in place. How ugly can it get?
That's right. If it gets ugly, and if someone dies without proper estate planning in place, then we're into probate, which is the court involvement in your estate. Probate is time consuming, and it can be costly for the kids or the family of the loved ones who passed away. So instead of that money going to attorneys or court costs or court fees, it could go to the family. So if people properly plan right, there's no questions about what they want. There's no fighting because it's in writing. And if they do fight and we do end up in court over like a trust contest, or if there is no estate planning of probate, we can guide them with the documents and say, this is exactly what they wanted. So it eliminates the chances for something to drag on and on and on.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, and dragging on and on and on is not the kind of event someone wants to undergo. It places strains on relationships, and also it's not really a great way to memorialize anyone. So by planning ahead, you're really doing a favor to your loved ones. Brooke, I learned about probate after my dad passed away in 2011, and my mom slowly waded through that process, and would have been better if it was planned a different way. I can tell you that. So what you're saying is very, very wise, and you obviously specialize in this, and so you make it, just so easy for people. Like you said, you share information. For people who are interested in contacting you, you have a special offer for our viewers today.
We do, we do. So if people come into the office and they sign up for an estate plan or any work that we would provide regarding their plan, they get a $200 credit toward that plan if they mention that they heard about us on Channel 13 on the Morning Blend.
Awesome. Brooke, it's great having you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. We really appreciate it.
Okay,
Thanks,
so then
Brooke.
listen, are you breathing? Are you living? Well, you're going to need to get one of these, frankly. Maybe you should. You get your estate plan in order. You get in order with Borg Law Group. You can go to borglawgroup.com, or you can call the number you see right there on your screen. Borg Law Group, a proud sponsor of The Morning Blend.